impressed. Is it supposed to be 1 or 2? What's English?
Try it.
I won't know it. Huh? Okay, is it 1 or 2? Oh, okay, okay. Okay. Unless this is online, let's just get started, right? Okay. Do we start? Yeah. Okay. So there's translation happening simultaneous. So hello, everyone. I am incredibly excited to share the best possible news with you and with the entire community of Olympique Lyonnais. So this was all possible because of incredible hard work by the team, and the team included not only Olympique Lyonnais staff, but quite a few lenders, all lenders actually, and shareholders, and we worked day and night, 24 hours a day in the last 9 days, because we literally had from Monday night last week until this morning. So I'm actually very proud of what we have accomplished to lead to this decision. And I can honestly say that we gave everything we have, 110% of what we had. So very, very grateful for the decision. And I really want to thank all the fans and the staff, the employees, partners, all the elected officials in this community who must have been really, really stressed about what could happen to the team. So I really want to thank them, and our real work begins now. So thank you. And we'll take some questions.
Pour les questions, si vous pouvez juste...
Je voudrais juste ajouter que, à part
I just want to add that apart from the thanks, the staff and the team that worked day and night, I'd like to thank Michele Kang, who was an incredible leader over the last 9 days. Without her, it would never have been possible. Thank you, Michele. So when you ask your questions, please give your name and let us know which medium you're working for. François Guittin, Le Progrès, the Lyon newspaper. Can you tell us what happened at the NCG and what guarantees you gave them in terms of what they were demanding?
So the letter that we received last Monday very clearly described the deficiencies that we had. So we had to address all of those. And as you know, DNCG requires all the clubs, not just Lyon, to have adequate cash flow to operate the club for the entire season. So that's what we had to prove, and we did to their satisfaction.
Bonjour, Edouard G, groupe.
Edouard G, RMC BFM Lyon. Can you tell us exactly the figures, what was brought in terms of cash, some of the collateral from Aries, and how much detail can you give us for all the guarantees you gave for the DNCG gives you the green light? Thank you.
So we're a publicly traded company, so I can't really get to exact numbers, but it was enough, and there were 3 components. One was cash on hand, which we had a lot, and then there was new cash injections came from the lenders and myself, And then there was a set amount for guarantee in case that our cash flow falls below zero. So among the three components, we believe we met our requirement. No questions?
Bonsoir, David Hernandez pour le
Evening,
site
David
Olympique.
Hernandez for the OL.com site. You talked about the DNCG decision. Did you understand the initial decision when you took on the job of CEO? And was it something that you had in mind that you were going to be able to answer their demands?
So I read the letter, but I was not aware of all the details in terms of our financial numbers and accounting and all that. So the very first Zoom call that I had once I took over the position was with our lenders. And the second meeting was with our auditor. I spent about 3 hours to go through everything that was in the letter and the current state of Olympique Lyonnais books. So it was a lot of work, and I really want to thank our auditors. We opened our books. We're absolutely going to be 100% transparent. So we provided every data they needed, and they really worked day and night as well. And most of it, if not all of it, were satisfying their requirements. But I had to learn very quickly. Only thing I did was read the letter, and then I had to learn very quickly about all the current state and where the numbers are, where the cash is, and what the issues are. But I also have, I also have to say that, you know, on the women's side, I have some experience with DNCG, but it was a lot easier than the men's side. So I was not as familiar as probably somebody in this position should be. So I really have to thank DNCG, in particular Jean-Marc, who really patiently spent their time to explain what the specific rules are, what the policies are, and how they apply. And you know, I understand that they're pro bono. I mean, they're not even getting paid to be on the DNCG panel. And they have really spent a lot of time and energy and effort to help us and help me understand all the rules and requirements. And it was without that, a level of support, I don't know whether we could have gotten here in 9 days.
Bonsoir, François Tixier.
Good evening, François Tixier, AFP, Agence France Presse. The decision of the Commission has been accompanied with restrictions on the total wages and for the compensation for recruitment, and that's for both of you. In the future, what do you think you'll do? There's an austerity plan that is necessary because there's a lot of debt, it seems. It's not an austerity plan, it's a financial discipline plan, and also the Appeals Commission refers to the budget we propose to the Appeals Board. For us, we proposed a budget for the total salary costs and for the transfer costs, and the Appeals Commission used that budget for the amount they allow us to use. So it's not just for the Appeals Commission, but it's also an agreement that matches what the lenders and the shareholders want and need. So now we have a plan, and we will play in Ligue 1.
Pour compléter cette question,
Michele, to complete this question, how will this impact the sports policy and roadmap? Well, we've adapted the budget compared to what we proposed on the 24th of June to the DNCG in terms of the funds that we have from our lenders and our shareholders, but there is not much difference. And with Mathieu Lejean, we will look at the impact of the budget, which we submitted to the Appeals Commission, but there isn't, for me, much change, but this needs to be finally analyzed in the days to come. Good evening, Fatima Vinoblan, France 3, Rhône-Alpes. You talked about night and day hard work to convince the DNCG and the lenders, of course, and the shareholders. What did you say to the lenders and shareholders to convince them?
Yeah, that was pretty amazing that all the shareholders, lenders, partners, and commercial partners all really came together. Clearly, as you can imagine, each party has its own interests and position, but we left all that behind and we really worked together to solve this problem. So some of these lenders actually put more money to help address the situation, and so did I, and so did several other shareholders. So this was really a collective mission and a goal to save the club and let the club continue its legacy and be able to get back to what the club has been all about. So it was really pretty spectacular that all of us worked very well together, and I think it clearly showed. And the representative of that lender, Ares, was present at the meeting, and another shareholder was JP Conte was with the team at the hearing as well.
J'en profite pour avoir deux questions. La première, est-ce
I have two questions for you. In your plan, are there players that you will be giving up, that you will trade to cut your salary costs? And how did Mr. Mikkeler help you from the Commission standpoint? I'll take the first question. Yes, there will be players that will go, like every year for every club. And as I explained, the sports roadmap, which we submitted to the Appeals Commission, has a budget for the selling and buying of players and for the overall salary level. We slightly adapted this sports plan compared to what we presented on the 24th of June, but it was a very slight change, and we'll analyze the impact.
How did Mikkeler help you?
Yeah, so as I stated before, my understanding of DNCG rules and policies was not that great. So I really needed to understand, not from anyone else who is interpreting it, but from him, the source of authority. So he spent really, as we requested, he made himself available to help me understand the situation. And I know there has been some questions about, how could, this kind of decision be made. But to be honest, if anyone understands the rules and policies of DNCG, and if they saw what we presented, I don't know whether anyone would have made decision that's any different than Jean-Marc and DNCG made. So we had a lot of work to do to ensure that we're compliant with all the rules and policies. And during that process, they gave us guidance about really clarifications, just in case we did not understand, and that's why we didn't really submit our information correctly. So it was really instrumental.
Est-ce que vous pourriez nous en dire plus sur le rôle qu'a
Can
joué
you
Ares,
talk more about the role of Ares, especially whether the amounts involved changes the shareholder structure, and what will John Textor become in the new structure?
So the capital structure, I mean, we all came in as investor in this particular tranche, the new cash injection, and so there is really no difference. In terms of our new governance and leadership structure, I am in charge of both Eagle Football Group and OL Sasu as the chair and president, and Michael is the director general, and I have 100% control over both organizations as well as responsibility. There's no one else who is going to interfere with our day-to-day decisions and operations. We have our fiduciary duty to report and share our information as required by, clearly as a publicly traded company, share the information with shareholders and all the regulatory agencies and so forth, but Michael and I are in charge of both organizations, and we will do our best to take the company take the club to the next level and really work on the financial disciplines. But you know, in my opinion, we're in the football business, and everything starts from the success on the pitch. We have to be successful. That doesn't mean that we're going to go win the championship every year. Of course, we would like to, but really success on the pitch is where we start and where we end. The success on the pitch will help us bring more fans to the stadium, more fans to the viewing on the internet and television, and it invites more commercial partners. And of course, there are a lot of prize money as well. So to me, I think that while we work on the financial discipline, which was lacking, and while we're working on the success on the pitch, and which, you know, hopefully will result in some significant uptick in revenue opportunity. In terms of Ares, I mean, we literally, the head of Ares Sports and Entertainment practice, he and I, and along with all the team and shareholders, worked literally 9 days together. Again, there was no distinction. I'm a lender, you're a shareholder, you're whatever. We really had one goal, which is to be compliant with DNCG and the appeals board so that the club can remain in League One. So never ever in the past 9 days we were talking about any kind of distinction about our each position. We were really united and we got it done.
Bonjour.
Good evening,
Christian
Christian Lanier from Le Progrès in Lyon. Can you confirm the fact that you also worked with the former president Jean-Michel Aulas and his general director Thierry Sauvage in terms of their advice and the attitude you should adopt? Thank you.
Yes, Thierry Sauvage, we absolutely asked him to come in, work with us. So he is an advisor right now. He worked side by side, day and night with us to prepare this package. So I'm very grateful for his willingness to come and work with us. And he will continue to work with us beyond this hearing because clearly, as you guys know, he's almost, you know, he's the one who built this, most of the operational and the financial disciplines in this organization and so forth. So I can't think of any better person to help Michael and myself to really transform and reform the operational side. Jean-Michel Aulas absolutely lent his support, but as you know, he's vice president of FFF. So there's independence, there's conflict of interest, so he could not be as much as he would like, as much as we would like, but he absolutely sent his support, and we're very, very grateful for his support and encouragement.
Bonjour Madame. Joël Dominique.
Good evening, Madame. Joël Team of L'Équipe. You talked
about. I have a question. Where do you get the information always before we even get it?
Nous faisons comme tous mes confrères ici.
We do like all our colleagues, we try and do our best. You talked about your relative ignorance of the DNCG rules before you went to the appeals committee, but that meant that there was a certain amount of lack of clarity in the operations and Textor. And what is this part that was unclear? And how did you manage to get through this, and a bit your opinion on the work he did before you took over?
So it was, the requirements were relatively clear. We had to show that we had enough cash flow to support our operations. And we didn't do that before. There were a lot of possibilities that we presented, but we didn't meet the very specific requirement, and this time we did. It's actually very simple. What was that?
I'm sorry, I didn't have the mic. Don't get it.
As you know, I was involved in women's football. So I was, quite frankly, I wasn't paying that much attention, but I can see the success on the pitch. I mean, I think, how far did we go last season? Sixth, right? And compared to the year before. So the progress was being made on the pitch, and on the financial side, organizational side, that was not something that I was paying attention to. I'm on the board, so we had board meeting and we processed what we heard and so forth. So, we spent the last 9 days to figure out how to address all the questions that are being asked. Now that that's over, our real work starts. And as we figured out how to restructure what we do, all that, I'll have better assessment. But I think as a football club, I think there is definitely a success on the pitch. And I will have more opinions about your question as I learn more about the rest of the organization.
Bonsoir.
Good evening, Frédéric Peruche, RTL.
La presse a fait écho
the press talked about
d'une somme de 100 millions à mettre sur
about
la table,
100 million to put on the table in an account to convince the DNCG, and that's the amount needed for the year to come. Can you confirm this figure?
No, I mean, I know there were lots of numbers thrown. I've seen 100, I've seen 80. None of those numbers are correct. And as I said before, DNCG requirement is that based upon your budget for the year and based upon your trajectory for your expenses, do you have enough cash to operate without making cash flow fall below zero? That's the requirement, and that's what we delivered, and all those numbers were not correct.
C'est aussi que la DNCG
It's also that the NCG and the Appeals Committee did not ask for figures before the meeting. Let's say that today we're saying that we have this amount and in cash and in guarantee. What we demonstrated was that cash flow and treasury, available cash, we showed that we have enough cash and enough guarantees to cover the required cash flow. It's up to us to prove, to show, and to demonstrate that we will be capable of doing that. You're saying that it's going to be played out on the pitch. Does this mean that certain players which may have maybe been where you were thinking were leave? How will this happen? We, Mercato always have many different options. We'll have to see which mix we'll have in this mercato. It's not one player or any particular player that will stay or go. It's an overall sport strategy, and we have a lot of trust in Mathieu Louison and his colleagues to find the right mix.
Oui, bonjour, Grégory Zarbonne de Ferroviaire Lyonnais. Donc l'OL est en Ligue 1, donc un soulagement pour nous tous ici même.
So now Ligue 1 is in OL is in Ligue 1. That's really a relief. Now in terms of the subscriptions, how will there be the possibility for people to subscribe, those who, for example, were season ticket holders for last year? What's the policy on that? Okay. Sorry, Michel, 10 days ago, was in charge of women's football, and I was in charge of Eagles. So for the last 10 days, we've been looking at the financial aspects, but we'll be able to answer that question very soon. Perhaps a question for you, Michael. What sports ambitions do you have with all these figures? What can we imagine with the Europa Cup, that you have ambitions, or do we need to wait for a few seasons to reach our ambitions? I'm very happy with Michelle as president, since she explained that commercial success depends on sport success. It's the balance between on the pitch and the business that we have to find. We have to win. We have to be very demanding in our sport ambitions. Our goal remains Europe. We want to be qualified and play in European competitions, and we will find the means to fight, like last season, where we didn't do very well in the last few matches, and we almost got to fourth or third position. So we want to fight again for this European position. From Mercato, for Malik Fofana, you talked about the Mercato. What's your position for him? And there are perhaps two players coming from Nottingham Forest. John Textor likes to deal with them. Is that still something that's on the agenda? Would you like to work with Nottingham? Once again, I won't be able to comment on the Mercato going on. For Nottingham, there's some transfers that have been looked at. We have to look at the contract situation, and we're going to analyze that in the coming days as well.
Monsieur Gerlinger,
Mr. Gerlinger, can you confirm that to be in the Europa League, as the UEFA said, that you're going to pay a fine of 12.4 million euros? And is that over? Are there any other obligations for the Olympique Lyonnais for not making this penalty worse? Of course, it's the UEFA system that applies a set penalty for its 12.5 million, which will pay in 2 installments, and that will be deducted from the premiums that we'll get from the UEFA or the bonuses. The other sanctions are only applied if we're not in compliance with the settled agreement of the UEFA. So if we keep what UEFA proposed, there will be no more sanctions.
So thank you so much for coming here with such a short notice. I am very grateful for your presence here. I also want to reiterate the support we got from fans and also all the elected officials. Bruno from the Metropole actually provided a letter of support, and so did Mayor of Lyon and Dessine. And those type of supports really mean a lot to all of us. And we can't thank enough. And in this challenging time, that's what really got us to work even harder. This was not even just, do we have money or not? This is about restoring and protecting the legacy and integrity of the club. And what I promised to the appeals board and DNCG is that with this changes in the leadership and the governance structure, we absolutely are going to respect all the rules and policies and respect the system in full transparency, and all the stakeholders will be aligned and make sure that we're all moving in the right direction. And to that end, we are doing this to restore this legacy of the club. This club has been in existence and will exist long after we're gone. So we're just temporary stewards of this club, and we are going to do everything in our power to ensure that we're going to leave this club a little better than the way we found it. And also, I share with the panel that I've never been a problem child in my life, either as a person or professionally, and I will do my best, and all of us at the leadership team will do our best to be not a problem child, but value added and net contributor of the French, not only in this community, but the football French community. So we have a lot of work to do, and we count on your support and all our fans' support. So thank you so much. And it's going to matter a lot if you continue to show and come to our games, not just men's games, but women's games as well. So thank you.